Hello, greetings ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I ended up doing a bit of research and came to an astonishing realization. Let me just begin by letting you know that I've been through some dips in life and moments of feeling very depressed and anxious often. People tried helping me and it helped, only momentarily. Then the mind would wander back to its trough again, to the point that it got very frustrating and annoying, and some voice in my head rang and stated, in order to tackle this, you should really study the opposite of this, which is happiness. Incredibly enough, that made so much sense, and I dived right into researching and learning more about the subject of happiness. To my surprise, such a childish topic that you would think everyone knows everything about at my age, only came to realize how little I know. I spent a month or two delving into the topic and gathering as much information as I could, and the data is staggering. I mean, astonishingly staggering. Hear me out, people. The amount of people facing clinical depression, anxiety, and mental disorders are at all-time highs. Which is why I decided to make and share this video. I'll be summarizing what I've learned through the many hours of lectures and articles out there regarding happiness, so you all can benefit from this as much as I did. Please note that we are living in an age of individualism, addiction, and constant distraction. Hence, we should really try to be a bit more social, a bit less addicted, and a bit more focused in our lives towards three things that really boost happiness. And surprisingly enough, those are faith, family, and friends. At times, avoiding loneliness is good, and at times being lonely is better than being around bad company. Being around good people, people of good character, are truthful, trustworthy, and or have genuine care for others is better than being alone. People with more knowledge are also amazing to be around. Don't get lost in thought or let your mind wander when it's not making you feel good. Memories are only good when they make you feel good. So reminisce about the good times when you do start wandering in thought. Try your best to stay in the present, which is easily achieved by focusing on breathing. Become calm, and then take positive action whenever you have the means and willingness to do so. Focusing on the present helps with mindfulness and taking things one step at a time. Note that you can cross 1,000 miles just by looking at what's in front of you, up ahead, and not the whole route. Like how when driving cross-country at nighttime, you are guided by your car's headlights 100 meters at a time. Likewise, life's a journey far superior. Our mind, in essence, is like the earth, soil where planted seeds are able to grow. Therefore, avoid dwelling in the past unless you're reminiscing happy, joyous moments in order to feel grateful. Anxiety occurs when you negatively anticipate the future. Hence, avoid negative anticipation or assumptions of the future, as it takes you out of focusing on the present. Avoid the negative thoughts by focusing on your breath, as it helps you come back into the moment and be present. Having expectations, this too can be troublesome. By having no expectations, you help yourself by appreciating and being grateful for the smallest good that comes your way, or for the help given to you by someone or a few. Even a small gift received in that moment can make your week, let alone the whole day. Savor the moment. Appreciate what's in front. Enjoy the meal given. Notice in every bite the wonderful texture and taste of the blessed food provided. Feel and note to appreciate the interconnectedness of your senses and be grateful for having them. Remember to be grateful when you wake up. Smile even when you don't want to. Smile because you have been given another day to live and do good in this world. In our fast-paced and busy lives, it becomes rare that we get to notice these great feats and benefits we are blessed with. Therefore, it's good to have a gratitude journal, or at least in your mind. Try to jot down a minimum of 3 things you are grateful for each day. For example, a cup of tea, having a pair of socks to wear in the winter, heater or warm fire lit in the winter, having 2 hands you can work with, having a tongue you can taste with, having the ability to excrete the waste out of your body so you can function properly. Furthermore, keep in mind, in order to avoid depression and anxiety, one must practice and learn to focus on the opposite, that is, happiness. When circumstances or things meet our expectations or exceed them on a positive note, we become happy. Another thing one can do when feeling miserable or sorry for oneself is that to look at those who are less fortunate. This will make you feel more grateful and help you being more content, and maybe even drive one to go out and help those in need as a positive step towards further happiness. Think of people living in refugee camps, war-stricken cities or countries, places where natural disaster struck, and how every day those people would wish to be in your shoes at times like this for them. In economics, we have quantifiable measures to measure quality of life, standard of living, and the Nordic nations have something called subjective well-being. You'll notice that they have the highest quality of life and yet the highest suicide rates, and many a times is due to competing and looking at those who have accomplished or acquired more than them or are doing better than them, making them feel miserable most of the time, because as their quality of life increases, they keep looking to those with more, bigger, and better, and in turn raising their expectations, when in turn they could be doing the opposite, to feel that sense of gratification and contentment, to remove that state of unhappiness from their lives. Usually performance-driven economies end up developing this sort of mindset, and someone should warn them. Sometimes when you just want to be happy, you just have to change your mind. Just listen and not argue. Be humble. Please note that enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning are thermostats that can help increase happiness. Pleasure, however, is a limbic phenomenon. It's a signal released from our brain. So what is happiness? It's simply the absence of unhappiness, and thus being content with things just as they are. This can also be equated as events minus expectations. See, when we expect things, we've already set up a bar to a degree of standard, most probably to something we'd like or appreciate. And generally in real life, things don't maneuver around us that way. Part of being humble can be accessed by reminding ourselves that the world doesn't revolve around us. So whatever our imagination has prepared for us to expect, let it go. Rather, don't expect at all. Live the moment. Enjoy being present. Like that turtle in Kung Fu Panda, upon meditating, he's telling Panda about the past, present, and future. The past is gone. There's nothing you can do about it. Future, we can't predict it, and whatever we anticipate leads to either having high expectations or the opposite. Negative assumptions can cause unnecessary anxiety. As one remarkable individual from the past stated beautifully, worrying in a time of worry is another worry indeed. And the present, it's a gift. That's why it's called the present. So how does unhappiness arise? When moments in your life don't meet your expectations or are far below them, generally tend to make you unhappy. Don't fall into rumination brooding. Focus on breathing, staying in the present. Keep negative thoughts out. How? By thinking of, it could have been worse, and then take a positive action. Happiness happiness is experienced through interpersonal connection and your own individual contribution. Through the ability to be able to cope with the world that surrounds us and by eating real food. We have gotten away from most of this in the last 20 years drastically, as society has driven us to do the opposite. We really have to focus more towards our and our society's well-being, and to have a certain level of joyfulness in our lives. See, when you ask an adult how many moments of happiness did you come across during the day, he or she will just look at their fingertips trying to recall one or two. However, when you ask the same question from a kid, they'll run out of fingertips and keep listing moments that they found happy or joyful. When you are young, it's usually one or two external causes that have made you unhappy during the whole day. When you get older, it's usually one or two external causes that have made you happy during the day. And strangely enough, every moment of our lives, we've been trying to reach that level of happiness by our upbringing, school, and education system, college or university, work, and whatnot. In order to attain that happiness, we thought we'd achieve when we were kids and finally be fully successful, and still we find the opposite to be true. In the past century, we've progressed exponentially with science and technology, with newer and newer inventions. Our lives have become more convenient, easier, and comfortable. So much so that people of prior ages could not even dream of or imagine the likes of. I mean, a great king or queen 2, 3, or 400 years ago would end up envying the life of an average man or woman of today. Did they even have rides with sofas in them? Let alone air conditioners and heaters. And to top it off, radio. I haven't even stated GPS yet. Interestingly enough, nations that are more performance-oriented, where people are more like, when this happens, then I'll be happy or happier, have higher mental health issues as compared to nations with more socially interconnected communities who have the least number of mental cases. The general assumption in many societies is that by working hard and making a lot of money, you'll reach that level of happiness, where you can be like, now I'm successful. However, that's not true, because this only activates two of the neurotransmitters in our limbic system, which are dopamine and serotonin. Money is fundamental to our happiness, for our existence and comfort. That's what we are taught even as kids. But when we study how depressed the extremely rich are, it's not the case. Also remember, social connection plays a major role in our well-being and level of happiness. So people whose kids are addicted to their gadgets, especially phones, need to be aware of this and snap out of it. Every time they catch themselves or find their children stuck in the loop or trap of doom scrolling. Note that pleasure is not happiness. Pleasure is short-lived and temporary. Happiness is a state of being of the mind, more long-term. Pleasure is achieved by substances and getting. Happiness is achieved through behavior and giving. I would also like to encourage you who are into this topic or would like to help others or themselves to check out the works of Mr. Muhammad Ali, who's more famously known as Mo Gaudat, an amazing intellectual who's done extraordinary works on this topic, and Professor Arthur Brooks, a man who possesses great knowledge and has engaged in scholarly academic teaching regarding the subject. I would like to thank all the viewers who watched this video and more so listen to the message I'm trying to convey to my fellows who are going through lows in their lives. Please forward and share it with everyone who you might feel that this would help, as that was primarily my intention upon making this content. Have an amazing life and future ahead.